I'm literally begging for my son getting recognition from wherever possible. So that's what I try and I keep requesting. I knew that my son will be soon forgotten. So every moment, everywhere I go, I just show that I am the proud mother of this son who laid his life for the nation. 24/7, nobody forgets him. He was our only child.
From Siddharth Yadav to Abhimanyu Rai are the guardians of India's skies, getting the national attention and as much of our anger and our anguish as they deserve. The images of Flight Lieutenant Siddharth Yadav have broken our heart, especially when we saw the images of his fiancée crying by his coffin, inconsolably saying, "Baby, you promised to come and get me, but you didn't." But Siddharth Yadav is not the only tragic hero to have died in the line of duty trying to save lives on the ground. There are other headlines like this forgotten all too quickly. Today, we also look at the story of Squadron leader Abhimanyu Rai, a hero who also, like Siddharth, died in the line of duty trying to steer his plane away from causing damage to civilian populations on the ground. The question before us is this. An Abhimanyu Rai named after Shahrukh Khan's character in Fauji, a real-life hero unlike the cinematic hero, or Siddharth Yadav, whose tragedy has broken our hearts. Is anything changing? What needs to change? Are these, as some might argue, the occupational hazards that come up with a job in the military? An occupational hazard for those who devote their lives to public service? Or are they questions that are mounting? Families, certainly, of young men who have been dying in these Indian Air Force crashes have many questions. They have pain in their heart, but they also have many questions and many issues to flag. And today, we're going to be flagging some of those issues with them. Let me introduce our panel today as we look at what's happening to our heroes, our young heroes in the prime of their youth of the Indian Air Force. Joining me now is military veteran Air Marshal Chopra. Good evening, sir, and it's a pleasure. It's a grim subject, but we need your wisdom and we need your knowledge and your experience so that we aren't carried away by our emotions, but at the same time, we ask the questions that we need to. I'm extremely grateful to my next two guests, Group Captain Amitabh Rai and Chitralekha Rai. Group Captain Rai has been an Air Force officer himself. Chitralekha is, of course, the anguished mother of Abhimanyu, Squadron leader Abhimanyu Rai, named after, as I said, Shahrukh Khan's character in Fauji. But these are parents who have pain in their heart and many, many questions about whether their son could be alive today. Also joining me is Ambreen Zaidi. Ambreen is from, of course, a military family, but she's an author and a journalist and a commentator in her own right and does a lot of work with the military community. The families that I often say are no less soldiers than those who go to the front line. Ambreen, thank you. And also joining me is our friend and somebody I have great respect for, Group Captain Augustine Vinod. Never been scared of calling a spade, says it like he sees it. And I'm very sure that he will do the same today. Before I bring in the parents of Squadron Leader Abhimanyu, Marshal, I want the broad perspective from you. There's a lot of emotion attached to this issue. You know, just after what happened with Siddharth happened, we saw an instructor in Agra also lose his life during a demo, during a training sort of module. So, we've had a very painful few days for the Indian Air Force community and their families. And there's a sense that we aren't paying the attention that we need to this, neither the media nor us as a country, that there is legacy fleet that shouldn't be flying anymore, that, Jaguar jets, for example, should no longer be in the skies. I read a lot. I ask this not as a military expert, but as a reporter who feels very strongly about the military. Air Marshal, your take.
Thank you, Barkha. I know very little unfortunate subject, but we all need to talk. There is a need for some kind of clarity in the minds of the public. The issues are important. They need to be kept alive. And there has to be some kind of a closure to the parents who have lost their children or other near and dear ones. Yes, this recent incident where we lost a young Flight Lieutenant Yadav who died in this Jaguar crash. As you rightly brought out, an instructor jumping, para jumping, his parachute wouldn't open. And then, of course, we know that here we have Scotland leader Abhimanyu's parents who are here. And we know that he died in an air crash with a Vietnamese student pilot. Of course, the aircraft was relatively new. It was not an old aircraft. You brought up the issue about Jaguar. I must tell you, we are the only airforce in the world flying the Jaguars today. And I must also mention that we'll be flying the Jaguars for next 8-10 years because a certain amount of upgrade has taken place on the Jaguar. We all know that we are down to 30 squadrons in the Air Force. Now, till we get additional aeroplanes, whether the indigenous LCAs or some foreign aircraft we induct, we have to continue to have operational capability here along the border. We are a threatened nation, and therefore the work is going to carry on. But coming back to the subject that we are discussing, yes, losing young lives, I must mention I'm the only air marshal in the world to have ejected from fighter aircraft in the rank of an air marshal. So I understand the risk. There have been 8 to 10 times in my life flying carrier that I may not have come back. So there is a level of risk in fighter flying, and sometimes things do go wrong. I must give you some statistics that that have been placed in the parliament in the last 5 years. 34 accidents, 19 out of which were due to, of course, human error, and there were 9-10 of them which were because of technical reasons. Now, how the accident takes place, the aeroplanes we all know are certified before they go. Every time you fly, the aircraft is 100% certified and absolutely fit to fly, yet something can go wrong in the air for some technical reasons. There could be an error of judgment by the air crew or the technician. So there are many, many issues. But certainly I do feel sorry for the parents, for the near and dear ones. And there is a need to bring some finality. They must feel at peace. They must feel that their child's work has been honored by the country. Yes.
Air Marshal, before I go to Squadron Leader Abhimanyu's parents, you said, one, you've had your own experience of having ejected in very challenging circumstances, but you said we are the only Air Force today in the world still flying the Jaguar jets, and it'll take some time for the fleet to modernize. Now, some might ask, is this fair? Is this something that needs to change much more rapidly? Is this getting the attention that it deserves? When I think of Siddharth Yadav, Flight Lieutenant Siddharth Yadav, heartbreaking images from his hometown, his fiancée breaking down at his coffin, saying, you promised you would come and get me, you didn't. When you say that we're the only Air Force who are flying these jets, is that fair? That is my question. Like, as a veteran, what would you urge the Air Force leadership and the government to be doing at this point?
Firstly, Barkha, I must mention that Jaguar is an excellent aircraft. Continues to be a good aircraft. That's a different reason because of many Air Forces moved into much more modern or different combat aircraft. That side, we all know that a few days earlier, 2 months back, we had another crash, Jaguar crash in Ambala. So there is no doubt that Jaguar still remains a potent and good aircraft. But undoubtedly, if we are holding on to Jaguar just because we have to hold on to certain number of fighter squadrons, then that's not a great idea. At today's time, we should be having, aeroplanes of 4.5 generation aircraft, or 5th generation aircraft. That's what the rest of the air forces are. So, but notwithstanding that Jaguar continues to be a safe aircraft, but it is time that we moved on to better aircraft. Surely we need better, but Jaguar has been upgraded, but mostly not with the engine as much as upgraded on avionics and nav attack capabilities. So on that context, yes. Now you see, undoubtedly the Indian Air Force for last 20 years have been asking for more aeroplanes. We wanted 126 MRCA aircraft. Finally, only 36 Rafale could be bought because of technical hitches that we went through. We are now moved the case of 114 fighter aircraft to be bought from outside, because the LCA program, we all know, the Air Chief has said that we are moving slowly. Only 40 aircraft have come in 10 years. That means averaging 4 aircraft a year. So there is a need for the country to accelerate your indigenous programs, and in the interim buy some foreign aeroplanes, so that the Air Force is not under any pressure to retain old aeroplanes. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for that perspective. I want to now bring in Group Captain Rai and Chitra Rai. Again, I want to thank you, because how can it be easy for parents to talk about having lost their son? Again, like Siddharth, in the line of duty, again, the priority being to somehow save the civilian, densely populated sort of localities on the ground. And that is how Group Captain Rai and ma'am, your son unfortunately died in the line of duty. But you have many, many questions. And I'll start with you, Group Captain. You've been an officer yourself. You understand that there are certain risks inherent in this job. But you still have your, beyond the pain of losing your son, there are questions and issues you want to flag. So let's start with you, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You named your son after Shahrukh Khan's character. You had,
Yes, I-
I mean, yeah, and those pictures of him, he's a sort of good-looking, strapping young man with his whole life ahead of him, and now he's gone. So in the line of duty, it's over to you, sir. What would you like to flag today?
yes, precisely. As you mentioned, on the line of duty.
Yeah.
For army personnel, the battlefield is the ground. In my view, for a pilot, the battlefield is air. Whether he is doing flying, operational flying, training flying. Unfortunately, the training flying, as the policy of the Indian Air Force, they are not considered as martyrdom. It is just considered as a air accident. Why it should not be a martyrdom for such pilots? Pilots who are training, who are qualified flying instructors, who are imparting training to the rookie pilots, the cadets. Certain times the controls are given to them with a view to teach them. And if they commit an error, the aircraft goes down and goes down the qualified flying instructor. That's what happened to our only son. Similarly, for the pilots who are test pilots, they are flying the aircraft after it has gone for some repair, some maintenance, and when it comes back, the first flight is taken by the test pilots. Why then these two categories are not considered to be battle casualty? Why should it not be taken as a challenge? They are taking certainly a challenge. That's my first query. And in case of our son, Abhimanyu, he was a very good pilot. And that is the reason why he quickly, after flying the Demonas in the NDA, he came to AFA, flew Kiran. Then he went for transport flying, where he flew Dornier, came into N-32 as a flight lieutenant. He became the captain of the pilot aircraft. Then he came to Boeing. After having completed his training, he was flying the VVIPs of our nation in the ComFlight. Then he did his QFI. He came to the Air Force Academy, where he was flying Pilatus. He completed 2 courses of 6 pilots each, and the third also, 5 had passed out. I mean, completed their flying training. This was the foreign cadet who was the last one, which he was doing, who supposedly was a weak cadet. Probably he would have completed his solo. That's a different thing. But then my second question would be that why, when this cadet said that he is weak and he doesn't want to fly, why should we have continued his flying? He wanted to go back to his nation. He should have been sent back. That's what we think. But then our son, he took up the challenge. Probably he did not bring it up to his superiors because, as instructor, as Air Marshal would rightly agree to my statement, that they take up the challenge. They don't give up. So he took it up. And then
Yeah.
just 6 days were left before he was passing out. So why should diplomatic relations? Vietnam is a friendly nation, so why should diplomatic nations? After all, our son joined the Air Force for the security of the nation, not for diplomatic reasons. So this it's a thought which
Yeah. Uh, I understand, sir. And before I come to ma'am, I want to separate the two issues. One is that you have said that Squadron Leader Abhimanyu's co-pilot wrote a note before this tragic crash that ended your son's life, talking about his weakness, talking about not feeling up for this flight. And your question is, why was he then continued, and why was he not just benched? That's one question. But let's
yes,
come to the more emotional question first. You said the air is a battleground for a pilot, just like the ground is a battleground for an army soldier. And
yes.
you say that your son's crash is considered an accident and not a battle casualty. And what pains you and ma'am is that he's not recognized for his heroic service to that extent. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Absolutely, that's what I want to say. I would like to add, if you permit, uh, we, my wife and I, are the only parents of a pilot, an instructor, who went all the way to Vietnam to meet the grieving parents of the cadet who had also gone along. And we just, wanted to meet them. Of course, not
Yeah.
talking anything else other than this, sharing the grief, and they were from a very humble background. In whatever way we could assist financially, we did that because that cadet had two young sisters. You can see in these pictures that
Yeah.
both the mothers, hugging and weeping. We went there on. Why is it not recognized? Something to be, we added, contributed to the two nations' friendship in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah,
Yeah, you've raised two separate issues. So I'll first address, and I'll get Air Marshal and Ambreen also to come in. But ma'am, first to you. I think this idea that Squadron Leader Abhimanyu's sacrifice is seen as an accident. That is something I think that pains both of you as parents, because he, like Siddharth, steered his aircraft away from civilian areas, and thereby uh, put his own life as secondary to saving the lives of those who were on the ground. And he's not recognized today as a martyr, as a hero, as a battle casualty. It's called an accident. How does that make you feel, ma'am? You're married to an Air Force officer, but to see your son's sacrifice described in this way, how does that make you feel?
One day I feel very proud that my son has gone in the line of duty, but at the same time, when we are not recognized as a martyred parents in the state level, we feel very sad. We on our own make an effort to attend all the official defense related retired officers functions, but we are not given any importance. It is very sad for a mother, whether a child is gone in a Kashmir terrorist attack or a air crash. For a mother, a child is gone. A mother, for a mother's pain, mother cannot distinguish between, the martyred son or just a accident. But I know that as a mother, and all the mothers feel that their beta to chale gaya iklauta, but they should be given that the son should be given his due. We are not asking for financial help. All we want is on occasions like 15th August, 26th January, at least in the state level, the son also should be applauded along with other Martyrs kids. It gives lot of pain. I mean, the ways, in spite of all that, my husband is training other cadets to join ND and in SSB coaching, and we are making more Abhimanyus to join defense, keeping our pain aside. But at the same time, if not for my son, for the coming sons of the Air Force, we want the government to make changes in the ruling and give them their due. It
Yeah.
will be great.
And ma'am, you shouldn't have to plead for this. You shouldn't have to fold your hands. You shouldn't have to make a request. I mean, in some ways, this should be something that is automatic.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, there was one more point I wanted to bring, if
Please,
I'm
please,
allowed.
please. Yes,
Ma'am, other
please.
thing is that the parents are not given their due as compared to the wives. That is very sad, ma'am. I feel at the government level as well as in the defense level, the parents of the kids who lose their life in line of duty should equally respected. We were not informed about our son's inquiry. Nothing is being told to us, but everything is being told to his wife only. So this is what happened, ma'am. Today, my daughter-in-law, I should not be saying this, but I have to tell this to bring it to the society so that all the girls of the martyred boys do not do this. She's done a court case on us, unfortunately. Instead of being by our side and supporting us, ma'am. So I also want there should be changes in the ruling that not only the wives, the parents are also given importance at the grassroots level so that the girls do not do this to the poor parents.
Okay. Again, to stay focused on the pain you feel at your son being overlooked as a hero, and that on your own expense, you went to meet the family of his co pilot who was from Vietnam. And the Rais have shared with us a letter written by this co pilot saying he was not ready, he felt he was weak, asking why then was he actually deployed and not benched. Before I come to Ambreen to speak a little bit about the human dimension, what families go through, I want Air Marshal Chopra to come in on this aspect of what Group Captain and Ma'am just said. That, when there's Republic Day, when there's Independence Day, when there's, commemorative events, why is their son's sacrifice looked at as a accident? If you first want to comment on that, and then also on their question that why was the co-pilot deployed when he had written that he was not feeling ready for the flight. Sir, once again, sir, you're non mute, sir. Please say again, sir. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Firstly, I want to salute the parents, but I must also mention that I'm also a qualified instructor and have done the job in the same academy as an instructor. I'm also a test pilot who faces a high degree of risk. And I have also been a member of the Armed Forces Tribunal, where it was our job as judges to help solve issues like this, including between parents and the wives, whether they should be treated as a battle, casualty. All this I've done 4 years of this job, so therefore I can put the things in correct perspective. Firstly, I must mention that the criteria that the parents are mentioning same are applicable to all fighter aircraft, transport aircraft, helicopters that are flying in peacetime, and they meet accidents and somebody's life is lost. The criteria is same, and they are not treated as a battle casualty, but they are treated as having died in an operational work or
But
line
is
of.
that fair, sir? Is that fair, sir? I mean, is that
Yeah.
fair? Do you think it's
No,
fair?
no, 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 no. So my contention is, over the years, the country has defined, government and the armed forces have defined what constitutes battle casualty. And those things have been refined more and more in the years. And peacetime accidents, whether it's the Army, Navy, Air Force, airborne, ground, they are treated as an accident. and there is a battle damage, casualties, line of fire in Kashmir. Even in peacetime, there are some casualties which will take place with the terrorists, etc. So this is very, very clearly defined, applicable to everybody. So this, I think, needs to be put. Now, as far as the parents and wives are concerned, the next of kin, if there is written is the wife, then most of the things are related to wife. But I have had in my own court in armed forces tribunal cases where it had to be decided whether part of the pension or the emoluments that the family is to get should be given to parents or not. It all depends on the financial position of the parents, if they are already, etc., etc. So these are things which have been looked at very clearly. And the last point that you wanted me to talk about is that if that student was not keen to fly, and the application has been given to the instructor, then of course the instructor should have taken it up with the with his seniors and had him to stop flying. But if the instructor, as the parents themselves said, was keen that to make a pilot out of this young boy, and he thought that he was a good guy and he could still put in an effort to make it, then that is a different case altogether. I agree with them that if he was not keen to fly, and the system would have taken some calls based on what the application was all about. Yes.
And again, as like you, Marshall, we all salute your courage and your resilience, Group Captain and Ma'am, because for you to still find purpose and meaning in your life after the way you lost your son, to feel that his sacrifice is not officially recognized, I understand how painful that is. But Amreen, let's come in with what families are going through. Our reportage, our media coverage, our discourse tends to be on hardware. Should the Jaguars be flying? Is there something, should the MiGs be flying, right? When will we have the Tejas? We don't talk enough about what families, Siddharth Yadav's fiance, Group Captain and Ma'am, families go through, the families that are left behind. And I know you spend a lot of time working in the community. And, what does this case and other cases like Abhimanyu make you feel? I'm so sorry, Amreen, I can't hear you. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Now I can.
Yeah. I very strongly feel, Barkha, that Abhimanyu Rai's parents had some place to go, and so many other parents and families had a forum or a department dedicated to themselves and their issues. They had a place to go to for their pain, their trauma, somebody they could share it with. That is something that I feel is lacking. None of the families find a holding hand. They are left in the lurch. I've seen Chitra ma'am, I've seen in her in her worst days, and the pain, her screams, I cannot forget it, Barkha. And there's so many families there. There's another lady I must mention. Her husband was killed in a chopper crash 50 years ago. Until date, that lady has not received a single phone call, official phone call about her husband's passing away and what she should be doing, and they're there for her or her family or anyone. She's a single lady. So this is where I feel the gap is, and we need to work a lot on this so that the cases like these are well documented. They come to the media later when there's a peaceful atmosphere. But a lot needs to be done for the families. That's the point.
And talk a little bit, Amreen, before I go back to the parents and to Marshall for last comments. For the military, in any of the services, it is your honor. It is your honor. It is your uniform is your honor. I think what Group Captain and Ma'am are saying is that हम पैसा नहीं मांग रहे, हम तो अपना पैसा खर्च करके वियतनाम गए. Even though our son's co-pilot is probably not mentally ready to fly, we still reached out to his parents. We used our own savings to reach out to them. We don't want any emoluments. We want our son's sacrifice to be given the izzat, the honor that it deserves. Now, Air Marshal explains that, look, there is a system. There is a system that decides what's a battle casualty, what's not. But I feel the pain of Group Captain and Ma'am. I really do. Because because the forge, the military, the navy, the air force, the army, it's centered on the idea of honor. That is its central principle.
Yes. So, Barkha, I feel we need to sensitize people. We need to sensitize our politicians to create that kind of an atmosphere. Today, if you see, we don't have a single tweet about Siddharth Yadav's air crash from the politicians or anybody on the political circle. We tweet on any random thing. We tweet on anything happening all across the world. But for Siddharth Yadav, I mentioned about it. And so sensitizing people, creating awareness about them is the core issue. We should focus on that so that the parents, the families are not left unwanted, they're not abandoned. Today it feels when a tragedy strikes, we're there for some moments, few days, and then they're left on their own to fend for themselves. Their trauma is largely unheard of. So we need to hear them out, be there for them, hold their hands. That is
Yeah. Group captain, do you feel that sense? Do you and ma'am feel that sense of emotional loneliness? Actually, let me ask ma'am the first question. Ma'am, your son's portrait, I know, is tattooed on your arm, and I'm just going to go full frame to this so you can show it to us. Yeah, there. Just yeah, a little bit up. Can you move it a little bit up? I actually have a photograph of this, so
Yeah.
I will show you the photograph. That's what a mother's pain is. We'll show the photograph separately. Talk about this. Ah, yeah, talk about this. There it is. We can see the photograph. Ma'am,
This
why did you do this tattoo?
I knew that my son will be soon forgotten. So every moment, everywhere I go, I just show that I am the proud mother of this son who laid his life for the nation. 24/7, nobody forgets him. He was our only child. And he's with me always, 24/7. Wherever I go, he's with me. I
Yeah.
don't have enough words to express. And like Amreen rightly said, at least once in a while, there should be somebody, maybe PM or somebody who addresses all our parents and try to know why we always talk about 71 war and Kargil war. What about the parents who are still alive and who are in pain? Who will listen to us? That when PM can meet the cricketers, the other people, why can't he once in a while meet us also and ask what we are going through? It's a humble
Yeah.
request. There should be a place where we are heard.
Ma'am, why do you fold your hands? I feel very bad. I feel very bad that you feel the need to fold your hands. We should be folding our hands before you. I think Group Captain Augustine I can see him at the back end. So I'm just going to, if we can bring him up on screen also and add him there. I can see him at the back end. Could we please add him? Ma'am, I want to ask you, why do you, why do you fold your hands? Why?
Because
Why?
I'm in so much pain. I always used to see videos and news about the parents losing their child, but when it happened with me, I know what the pain is all about. I've made a WhatsApp group where all we such parents are together. I'm literally begging for my son getting recognition from wherever possible. So that's what I try and I keep requesting.
This is very painful. It really is very painful, ma'am. I don't know. I feel ashamed that you have to fold your hands and ask for this. As I said, Marshall, I'll bring you in. And group captains, you've just joined us in the nick of time as we were closing. Ma'am is in tears. And what group captain and ma'am were saying is that their son is called an accident instead of someone who died in the line of duty. And she's saying, I'm begging you, I'm folding my hands. Why does my son not get his due? Marshall, I'll bring you in and then group captain for a quick comment as we close. It's very painful to hear this pain.
Yeah, very touching, I must say, especially this tattoo thing. I'm really touched. And I can actually feel the pain of the parents, and it's a never ending pain, and I can see that. Only point I want to make to Barkha and Amreen is that, we in the armed forces, normally, maintain very, very close contact with the families who have lost their husbands or parents or fathers.
Yeah.
And it is, we are all the time in contact, but I can understand Agrupi and Mrs. Rai have not had the kind of contact or approach by the people around them. I think certainly the armed forces will do something after this episode. I myself is going to make an effort to get the people who are around them to be able to connect with them and make them feel that we are still a family. And I tell you, a large number of widows and veterans connect with me regularly, and I try to help them. We have a directorate of where veterans who go out of the way, to solve problems with the families. And I can assure you, on behalf of the armed forces, that we are trying our best, and we'll do much better if people are not very happy. Grupi Rai,
No, thank you for that assurance, because I know that the military, the Fauji is a Paltan, an extended Paltan. Your Paltan is your family is your Paltan, and there are little distinctions between those two entities. But Group Captain Rai, before I get in Augustine, sir, you wanted to say something, sir?
Yeah, just two things. One is policies can change. I mean, Marshal sir, as you said, you will make an attempt, and your attempt will certainly yield results. That the two things which I said for the test pilots as well as the instructors, maybe something could be thought about this. And second thing, which I wanted to quickly sum up was that I was there in the 2 selection boards as a group testing officer. And so now I am doing charity and coaching youngsters to join the armed forces, as mentioned earlier by my wife. Unfortunately, in the Air Force Day for the last 3 to 4 years, just because I am coaching people, guiding people rather, to join the armed forces, we have been debarred as a veteran, from the Air Force functions in the selection board here, saying that you have been coaching people, youngsters, so you will not be called for Air Force Day parties. So it's a miserable thing which is going on. So something could be done about this. Of course, this is not in this context, but just I mentioned.
Yeah, but it's just sad that as parents of an Air Force hero, you feel that is whatever the technical reasons, Air Marshal will know better, Group Captain Augustine will know better, and of course, Group Captain Rai is an Air Force officer himself. Group Captain Augustine, we missed you for a large part of this conversation, but I want to bring you in as we take last comments. I'm sorry, we have just a few moments left. We were looking at Siddharth Yadav, then we were looking at Abhimanyu Rai, then we were looking at what happened in Agra, and Air Marshal Chopra made the point that, the Jaguar is an excellent aircraft, but modernization is slow. In the case of squadron leader Abhimanyu, his parents say that the recognition that should have come to him as a battle casualty, his sacrifice, is not recognized, that his mother today feels that she has to fold her hands and beg for that recognition. So if I can get you to come in with your thoughts, Group Captain Augustine.
Thank you, and pranam to both the parents. And probably the parents do not know, I have a much deeper connect that goes back to Amitabh sir to 1988. Probably you may not remember. He was a Air Force printer. I think he clocked 11 seconds or less. And those days, that kind of timing, Barkha, nobody achieved. And probably his record held for a long time. And today we are talking about Abhimanyu, but Abhimanyu comes from that lineage. And while he was running on the tracks of CTI, I was doing the high jump, and we both participated. That's 1988, Barkha. We were very young that time.
What a story. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
That is one. And second, my wife's roots are from Dehradun, and they are from Dehradun, and the chief minister felicitated both. And that connect also. My permanent address is 1/2 Moini Road, Dehradun. So that's the kind of connect I have with both Amitabh sir and ma'am. And most important thing, Barkha, and I wanted to, I jotted down a few points so that I can probably quickly put it up in a logical fashion, so that our viewers understand what we are talking about. See,
Yeah.
in military flying, there is inherent, risk is always there. But in peacetime, Barkha, we break it down into two prongs.
Hmm.
One is a military training where the risks are higher, then therefore your chances of encountering that risk, and while encountering that risk, your chances of losing life is higher, and we all of us know it. Uh, like I told you before, this skin is new. I had a crash immediately after takeoff. It's God's grace I'm alive and talking to you today. Same thing with Air Marshal. As Air Marshal, he ejected and he survived, and to tell the tale here. So all of
Yeah.
us have had our brush with death many times, and thank God and thank our blessings and such. We are sitting here, Barkha, in front of you and talking. That day you could have been gone in shelling. You didn't. Just missed few meters. So all of us are
Yeah.
sitting here talking to the world, and the
Yeah.
world can come back and replay this and see. So
Yeah.
that is prong two. But prong one is what is troubling me, Barka. And you know what is prong one? If the same accident happens in civilian world, heads will roll. If there is a technical glitch, and because of which there is someone crashed, heads will roll. They
Yeah.
probably could be taken to jail.
Yeah.
So that that kind of seriousness towards good maintenance activities, great the SOPs is something, and I say that with all humility, and having served for 31 years, that is something we need to seriously look at. Absolutely seriously look at. That can only happen if we take the the aspect of non-military flying, non-military training, the routine part of training and the routine part of maintenance as seriously as the civilian would. And I tell you, I mean, like I said, 21 tried killing me so many times, and like, ma'am, I have
You have a
a
tattoo too?
MiG-21, a
Really?
MiG-21 on my hand.
Wait. Hold your hand up. Okay.
Sure.
My God. These tattoos, this is a tale of tattoos. It really is a tale of tattoos. Fabulous.
And I
Yeah.
love MiG-21. She brought me where I am today. But she tried killing me many times. But
You can see.
that is the love I have for the uniform, for the aeroplane I flew, and similarly, Amitabh sir and ma'am and Air Marshal and all of us, Amreen and Barka, you
Yeah.
too. I mean, I consider you the Fauji, just that you didn't wear uniform, because at that time there were no girls getting inducted.
Thank you,
Otherwise, you
sir.
would have been. You would
That's
have
the
been.
best. That's the best compliment anyone has ever given me in my whole life. But Group Captain Augustine, you have the MiG on your forearm, and you say she tried to kill me, but I love her. There is so much debate over the pace of modernization, and I want to start taking last comments. I'll start with Amreen. I'll go around the show once, the panel once. Amreen, you said that helping hand, that hand of compassion is needed, and Air Marshal says the military is always there. So respond to that, because you know that you're from a Fauji family yourself.
Yes, Barkha, military is always there, but there are cases like Abhimanyu Rai's parents. There are many other cases where they are left. So for them, I want military or the Air Force to be there for each and everyone, not a single. Today I really pray that no other mother has to fold hands and beg like Mrs. Rai here
Yeah,
for justice,
yeah,
for respect for her son, for honor for her son. It should all happen, as Air Marshal Chopra said, it should all happen automatically. There should be a system in
yeah.
place, a policy in place for this to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been painful to see ma'am so many times folding her hands on this program when I really think it should be the other way around. Group Captain Augustine, if I may bring you in, because we missed you in the first half of the conversation. Modernization is a big debate. You spoke about the MiG being emblazoned in your arms. There are mothers of boys who went down in these MiGs who feel that they're not safe. There are those who are saying, why is the Jaguar still flying? What would you say to those voices? And by the way, those voices are from within the military community.
True, Barka. We were doing this course, and if YouTube was available 20 years or 15 years earlier, we would have been probably doing this course every no, during this program every probably a week, because that is the kind of number of accidents we had. And my course was the worst hit. We had 12 bachelors in one block in Uttarlai.
Mm.
Marshall will bear me out on this. Today there are only two of us. Can you believe
Wow.
this?
Wow.
All of us have gone, and Varsha was in the front, the block facing us, in the girls' block, and there were times, Barkav, where we have lost in our memory. He didn't die, so we were planning for a party, and we said, "Let's call Mehra." Then we realized, oh shit, Mehra perished
He's not
in a
there. Yeah.
crash, yeah, a couple of years ago, and that part of memory is completely gone. So we are
Yeah.
hardwired below this bald head very, very
Yeah.
differently, very,
Yeah.
very differently. And you have seen those young boys up
Yeah.
front. वो कहते हैं ना, it's not a cliched word, but सर पे कफन बांध के जो चलने की जो वो है ना,
बिल्कुल.
that
बिल्कुल.
feel that is
But
ingrained in us. So
बिल्कुल.
Abhimanyu,
बिल्कुल.
you sat in the cockpit. You think Abhimanyu didn't know that this could be my last mission? Of course he knew. 200% he knew. And
Yeah.
the Vietnamese kid who was with him, I mean, I'm a QFI. I've been a QFI since 1998. So is Air Marshal. We
Yeah.
won't let our trainee away and we will punch out ourselves. We will not do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so Abhimanyu held the Air Force flag high and he went with that flag in his hand.
Yeah. And I think that's Air Marshal Chopra. Before I give the parents the last word, I am crying listening to Group Captain. I don't know what the parents must be feeling. My question is, this seems so elementary. I know there are rules for what is a battle casualty and what is not. But as Group Captain Augustine said, Abhimanyu went holding the Air Force flag, the honor of his uniform, the flag of India, saving lives on the ground as he went. It can't be so difficult to give him the honor he deserves. It can't be so complicated. Marshal.
Absolutely, Barkha. I must say that two issues have come up. I think in discussion today. One, of course, is that modernization, getting the fighter numbers in the Air Force, is an issue which is being handled at the highest level in the government right now, and I hope they take some decisions very, very quickly. There is so many committees have been formed. So I will leave that aspect aside, but there's an emotional aspect. There is a policy-related issues. There are issues that we need to do much more. If there are parents or families which are pained, who have lost their near and dear ones, we need to do more for them. We need to connect. We find more ways to connect with them. And if there is a requirement to tweak the policies further, we must certainly look at this. And as I said, I promise Grupi Rai that I will be speaking to some people concerned, and we hope that something good will come out of it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Grateful for that, Air Marshal. I want to give the last words to Group Captain Rai and ma'am. How would you want everybody to remember your boy? I'll give the last word to ma'am. How would you want everybody to remember the boy whose tattoo you carry on your arm and whose memory and face you carry in your heart?
Abhimanyu, like I kept his name Abhimanyu, he lived by his name. Till the last breath of his, he loved
Yes.
flying and he went flying. I just hope, whether the country recognize him or not, we as parents are keeping his memories alive. We have a defense institute in his name called Veer Abhimanyu Defense Trust, and we'll continue to do that. And Barkha, I must tell you that I had seen one of your videos where you actually were in front of the Kashmir where the attack was happening. I always felt you make us so proud. You are also very much part of
Thank you.
Fauji, and thanks
Thank
for
you, ma'am.
bringing our
No, ma'am. Thank you so much. No,
It
you
means a
have.
lot.
Thank you
It's a-
for those kind words. But I want to say something to you. You have folded your hands so many times. I want to fold my hands in
God
gratitude
bless you.
to you, to Group Captain, to the entire military, to families who have to live with the pain. The pain is permanent. The headlines fade. The country moves on. Parents, the families live with the pain. And I want to bow my head and fold my hands before all of you, men and women in uniform, because I know that many people don't understand your sacrifice. And we need to do more to make everybody understand that sacrifice. God bless. Jai Hind. May you get peace. May Abhimanyu get the izzat, the honor he deserves. Thank you. Namaskar. Air Marshal Chopra, Group Captain, and ma'am, Group Captain Augustine, and Amreen for bringing out the human aspect. Thank you. God bless
Thank
all
you.
of you. Jai Hind. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.